Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. I hope everyone is having a great evening, great day so far. So today, I'm Sara EL-ATEIF, by the way, and I will be talking about FemTech and AI. So who am I first? So I am a Google PhD fellow, developer expert in machine learning, and I am doing my PhD in AI applied to healthcare. So I'm also a co-founder of AI Wonder Girls. If you're curious about any of these, please check out my LinkedIn. So let me get started on the topic. Before that, let me just briefly tell you what I'm going to talk about in this talk. So I will be first explaining what FemTech is, why we need it, and what are some of the AI-powered apps that are built for FemTech, and then the challenges facing this somehow industry. So before I explain it, if anyone is watching, I would really like to know what you think FemTech is. So when you hear FemTech, what does it remind you of? What does it mean to you? So FemTech is actually, it refers to software, diagnostics, products, services, any kind of technology or solution built to support women's health. So the term actually was first brought up by Ida Tin, the founder of Clue, which is a period tracking application. So here's a question for us. What kind of applications, like of what kind of subdomains can we build solutions for, for women health? So when we talk about women health, we mainly talk about menstruation and period care products, fertility and birth control, menopause, chronic conditions and hormonal disorders, pelvic health, pregnancy and post pregnancy, breastfeeding, sexual wellness, and general healthcare. So, general healthcare can be around mental health and anything that usually can touch both a woman and a man. So why do we have a specific section for for women? Well, reality is that although we actually develop a lot of medicine, but most of it is developed by men, because like most researchers are men in either in healthcare or any kind of sector in science. We have more men than women, which is really, it's normal. If you're from a gender, you understand your gender better, and so will develop solution for that gender, which is normal. But we know in the globe we don't only have men, we also have women. So we have male and female. So we need to develop with both of these genders in mind. And so especially that sometimes an actual medicine can be developed for like general public. That means for like adults, young adults, and then like children. But sometimes that same medication that we develop it for general public, because we did not test it in as many women as possible, we actually do not pay attention to any kind of issues that may arise if a woman take that medication. So sometimes it can affect her periods, it can affect her hormones in general, it can affect her fertility and her mental health, because even though we are look alike, we're human beings, but we do have different we do have a different physiology. So we need people to account more for that. So why should we exactly care? Well, apart from the things I actually mentioned, there are very subtle things that we don't see, or actually we know of quite clearly, which mainly relates to the culture. So as Farah Dahmouni, a founder of Lameno, a menopause community for the MENA region, said, women may not have anyone to talk about their situation, or they may be ashamed to discuss it with their doctor. Like many actually women do not visit gynecologists. They sometimes have never heard of it, or they only visit the gynecologist when actually they're pregnant, which isn't really very healthy, because like a woman needs a checkup for at least for 6 months, especially after a woman gets married. They need a checkup for every 6 months to make sure that they don't get breast cancer, any kind of cancers that could you know affect her health. So there's also things like research lacking in the understanding of women's health and subsequently treatment. As I told you, because we most researchers are men, they tend to develop more solutions for men, which is really kind of normal. So several aspects of women's health are still not discussed openly. For example, period pains, menopause, what we call in Arabic word sinliyas, which isn't really that dramatic. Coupled with stigmation's cultural context dictates how we perceive natural bodily phenomenon. So the problem with this, stigmatizations and cultural contexts is that it increases the likelihood of disinformation, or it can even create a wrong diagnosis. So for example, a lot of people, like if they see a woman crossing her threshold of 50, they start to think she has menopause, which is sinless, because of the sinless concept, right? But in reality, it might not be that she is in menopause yet. She might just be suffering from some kind of mental health challenges or something like that, that is actually affecting her hormones and all of her health. So as you can see, there are, well, the field, we can call it like a field for now, or in industrial domain, is actually gaining some traction, but very, very sadly, we don't have much, solutions in MENA. If we check out like on the figure on my right, we can see that US has the highest solutions in this sector. Africa has 1.8%, EU has 25.3%, and Asia 8.3%. And I'm not sure if you can see the trend or not, but most of these solutions are present in countries that discuss openly these kind of matters, like women health, uh, you know pain of periods and all of that. So we need to bring more awareness to these topics. So what are the AI applications? Because after all, we're here for the AI part, not for the femtech one. So let me show you. I will show you two. I will show you two examples of applications in femtech using AI. But there are a lot of them out there, and if you really want to dive deeper, please go check out this website, femtech.health/AI, simply because it has the AI companies of this is like the 2003 report. They have very detailed, information about the companies, the investors, and the research and development centers, if you're really interested into getting into this field. And why not develop some applications to help women with their health? So let's check out the first application, which is Flow Health. And Flow Health is actually an AI-powered women's health app that supports women at every stage of their reproductive cycle. That means they care, like they have solutions they have tracking for women's period, they have tracking for fertility, they have like different options on how to manage women's health around her reproductive cycle. So let's see where the AI plays around in this application. So they do predictive analytics, personalized recommendations, and they have virtual assistants. So for the predictive analytics, what they do is that they analyze their users' data, such as, for example, menstrual cycles, symptoms, and lifestyle habits, using obviously machine learning algorithms. And then this data is used to create personalized predictions. Like what? Like the risk of pregnancy, or chances of getting their a woman's period in a certain time. Now let's check out the personalized recommendations. So for personalized recommendations, what they do is that they recommend products or services and content to users based on their individual needs and interests. I believe like all of us know that this is related to recommender systems. So for example, if a user has been tracking their symptoms, let's say for example, a woman has her period, she will usually like have small, like either spottings, or she will have pain, constipation. It depends on the woman, on the person. So if a person has been tracking these symptoms, Flowhead might recommend some articles about how you can manage the symptoms. So for example, for people suffering from endometriosis, which is kind of like a really pain period amplifier, to put it simply, they can like get recommendations on how you can help alleviate these symptoms, the pain, in simple words. So for virtual assistants, actually what they wanted to do with this piece is that they wanted to make it easier for people to interact with non-humans to get information around their periods, right? So what they use is natural language processing, so they can understand their users' questions and then provide personalized answers. So for example, if a user asks when is my next period, depending on the data they had. So the virtual assistant will use the data they have provided so they can provide an accurate answer. Let us check the second example, which is Monai, which is actually a neuroscience-based sound application developed to reduce menstrual pain and improve mental clarity. So usually, if you're a woman, you kind of know this, but if you're not, you would know that when you have your periods, like when that timeline is nearby, all of the changes that happens in your hormones affects actually your brain. And in some people's cases, when it is really very severe, it can like make you lose focus, forget a lot of things way more than usual. Like it can amplify because it kind of messes with the brain's chemicals. So it does create a lot of issues. That's why usually women are cranky, very easy to irritate, and all of these stuffs when they have their periods. So this application is like developed to help them alleviate these symptoms. So how do they do that, especially using AI? So what they do is that they have four things they use AI for, but actually only three. The last one is kind of like a more thing. So personalized sound therapy, pain tracking, and then pain prediction. And for the last one, it's all about education. So it's pain management education. So for the first one, which is personalized sound therapy, they use machine learning so they can create personalized sound therapy sessions. So this involves like analyzing users' data, such as their pain levels and preferences, and to create a soundscape that is tailored to their individual needs. Let's say, for example, some people like classic music or something like that, but some people found some type, let's say, for example, rock irritating. Like instead of helping them lower down the pain, it might actually increase their stress level and help them make it, and not help them, or make it worse for them. So that's why like they use machine learning to kind of figure out the preferences of the person and what would work for them. So for pain tracking, they're using natural language processing so they can track their users' pain levels over time. So this involves like analyzing their users' text inputs, such as journal entries or pain diary entries, and then identify patterns in their pain levels. Let's say, for example, if third day you have, let's say first day you have more pain than in the third day or in the fifth day or something like that. So they kind of like will try to find these kind of patterns and give you suggestions on how you can overcome this pain. So pain prediction. They use statistical modeling so they can predict their users' pain levels in the future. So this time, instead of you tracking your pain levels, they will be actually, doing some prediction around that in the future. And this involves analyzing users' past pain data, obviously the ones you actually provide yourself, to identify factors that are associated with changes in pain levels. Let's say, for example, it might be, like a certain when a certain date hits, according to your period days, you get more pain than normal because perhaps you're irritated, or like, when you have your exams, you're stressed and all of that, it might increase the pain, so on and so forth. So pain management education, what they do is that they provide users with educational resources about pain management through their blogs and their pain management library. So these resources cover a wide range of topics, such as, for example, the causes of pain, the different types of pain relief, and then the importance of self-care. Most of everything related to health and mental issues actually comes from us taking care, of our health lifestyle. So it's all about lifestyle in reality than anything else. So let's check out what kind of challenges, this field, kind of have. So the challenges they have are around lack of diversity in data. So FemTech AI data sets are actually made up of data from cisgender women. What does cisgender mean? It means people who choose their gender. So you know it's a weird thing, at least for me. These days people actually have the right to choose what they want as a gender. So this kind of thing is creating issues for femtech, because like a person might not be a woman, right? And because they are registered as women, they might be getting data from them as women. So what femtech companies are doing to mitigate this challenge is actually they are working to address this kind of lack of diversity by collecting data from a more diverse range of women. What does that mean? They don't really only collect data from women, but women of color, women with disabilities, and women from different socioeconomic backgrounds. How about bias in AI models? As we know, like usually whenever you have an AI involved, you always have the same challenges. That is around data, bias, and like ethics, and then security. And these are going to be the same things we'll be seeing in these challenges as well. So for bias in AI models, so the challenge that femtech AI is facing is that AI models can be obviously biased against certain groups of people, such as women of color, or sometimes women with disabilities. So some femtech AI companies are actually working to address these biases by using techniques such as algorithmic fairness and bias mitigation. So in regulation, there is actually lack of clear governing regulations that are for the development and use of these applications. So let me give you a little bit of context here. So usually in healthcare, if you want to develop a healthcare solution, whatever that may be, you need it to be approved by a regulatory body. So in the USA, they have something called the FDA. In our own countries, we have our own regulatory system. So if you're developing a healthcare solution, you need to have it approved by these governmental bodies. If it's not approved, you won't be able to put your solution up for in the market. And even if you did start to sell it and something happened, well, obviously prepare for a lawsuit. Because we don't want that. And because seeing as we do have a lot of technology and AI being involved in the healthcare sector, actually in different main sectors, it will be interesting from the governing bodies to start developing a step-by-step approach or process. That's actually what the FDA did for the US, but I'm not sure we do have that in our own countries. At least in Morocco, I'm not sure we have a clear structure around this kind of technological developments. So this challenge can make it difficult for femtech AI companies to bring their products to market, as I highlighted. So, what femtech companies are doing is that they're working to develop self regulation guidelines for the industry. So, that let's say, for example, I developed a FemTech AI solution. I pushed it to the FDA, for example. They approved it. I will be like giving you the step by step stuff I did, so you can guidelines, so you can follow them, and have to avoid all of the cycle of going back and forth to get it approved. So these guidelines can help ensure that femtech AI is developed and used in a responsible way. Because there is, when you're talking about health and any kind of sensitive industry, you need to really develop responsible technology and digital solutions. So, how about privacy? After all, when we talk about healthcare, actually any kind of sensitive domain, we have to, when talk about actually AI in general, we're processing other people's information, other people's data, and most of the time it's very sensitive. So, these things raise concerns about privacy and security. So, what FemTech AI companies are doing is that they're working to protect the privacy of women's data by using what we call encryption and then other security measures. So, they're also working on obtaining informed consent from women before collecting their data. Because, like, especially if you're in Europe, they have the GDPR. So, if someone does not, well, first things first, you need to be following the GDPR instructions. And then you need to ask for consent every time you're trying to collect data from your users. Now, let's talk about acceptance. And this is really all about the culture. There is still some stigma around using AI for women's health, and some women may be hesitant of using, femtech AI products. Well, you know, it's all around privacy, and sometimes women don't want their, they may be fearful that their data may get leaked, or people will, when you will know some stuffs that are sensitive around them. It's like, this is very similar to, although not as much because this is way more sensitive, this is very similar to how we, especially the Arabic world, we actually we were very fearful when using our credit cards to buy stuff from e-commerce websites, right? So it took a really lot of time for us to get this new culture of buying online and feeling secure around giving our credit card details to complete strangers, I guess. So femtech AI companies are working to educate women about the benefits of femtech AI so that they can feel more secure and more entitled to use these products. They're also working to make femtech AI products more accessible and affordable because, like, if you develop a solution and, especially a healthcare solution, and then you put a very high price or you make it really difficult for people to understand how to use, the chances of people using it are going to be very slim. So this is why I encourage you, to empower individuals without a voice and to let technology be the salvation, like be the solution that we are all looking for. That was it from my side. Let me know if you have any questions for me. All right, seeing as there are no questions, let me let me tell you a little bit about, well, like AI in healthcare. So in the MENA region, especially, we have very, very few startups, or even actually, huge companies working on solving the healthcare challenges we have using AI. So I invite you to start looking into, especially if you want to start your own business and you see something, you see something that people are struggling with in healthcare, in perhaps in your neighborhood or like in your whole country, and that really, really frustrates you. I invite you to start looking into what the problem is. Like, try to go and talk to people about this problem. Let's say, for example, let me give you a concrete example we have in Morocco. So one of the things we do have in Morocco is that, like, we have some doctors that are well known, right? And so these doctors, specialists especially, they get a lot of people. So like, if you like, people come at 5 a.m. in the morning, so they can, they can kind of like physically like get an appointment, like stay there so they can, check in their name on a piece of paper so that they can get access to that doctor. And usually doctors, they don't really, like, most of the time they never actually really can go through that whole lot of people, like, because doctors in Morocco, they usually go to the clinic first, that is a public clinic, and then they actually go to their own private practice. And so it is very difficult for them to go over all of that number, right? So what they do usually is that they tell people to come tomorrow, but then, like, sometimes most of these people might not actually be from the city that the doctor is in. So they might, for example, come from the actually the non-urban areas of that city, or they may actually even come, sometimes like people come from really far away, like from some, let's say, for example, the doctor is in Casablanca. People might actually show up from Tangier or like from Fes, which are really very far, like at least 3 to 4 hour drive from Casablanca. And so one of the things, for example, that could be developed is that we could either actually develop a solution for the doctor to make it easier for them to make it easier for them to like go through all of these people's symptoms and like kind of see who they can like quickly help, and then who needs really more attention, like. And for people that actually can be like that have normal usual symptoms that keep occurring, we can train like an AI model to quickly give advice on these kind of cases, right? So that the doctor can quickly come up with the what we call the l'ordonnance, or the consultation form, the consultation paper, and then give it to them, right? And then like one of the things we have in Morocco is that most of the consultations papers actually written by hand by the doctor. We could actually digitalize that. So there are a lot of things we can do, especially around healthcare. So I really want to invite you to seriously start looking into this amazing field. And femtech, especially now, especially in 2023, and with the development of AI, there's so many amazing applications and so many amazing solutions that I never heard of. Like, it's only recently when I was actually searching for for some kind of femtech companies working on the field, just to check up and see what's happening around, they actually found that some people have figured out a way to actually stop the pain, like really literally stop the pain when you're having your periods. There are other people that actually develop devices so they can track symptoms from menopause. Like, I'm not sure if you know this, but like people having menopause, they have hot flashes that they keep irritating them throughout the whole day. Like they can't sleep well, they can't just live like normal human beings. They have to always, worry about their vitamin levels, and then they have to add supplements to their diet, and there are like lots of stuff that they have to worry about, on top of the pain, on top of the frustration, on top of the negative feelings, stress, anxiety. They have to actually deal with physical symptoms as well. And so these amazing, solutions, they are very helpful to women. And like how, like they actually track their symptoms and give them to their doctors. So the doctors, when they're trying to, help them figure out what medicine to take, or like what kind of approach they can go about to reduce these kind of symptoms, they know what to actually, precisely prescribe them or give them as suggestions. But like when you show up just like this to the doctor and start telling them what you go through, you do miss a lot of information. Like you have no idea how much, your heart beats at an hourly rate. You have no idea that your stress level or sugar level was actually very high, and that's what caused like the hot flashes or something like that. I'm just saying some nonsense. I'm not an expert on menopause and all of that. But like, you don't know your symptoms yourself 100%. And so if we can have technology which actually can very easily figure it out, especially now with sensors and AI, it can help the doctors take the right decisions, and give you the right prescription that will fit your case. And your body type, sometimes like even our blood type, can play a huge role around what you're eating, what you should be eating, what you should be avoiding, and stuff like that. So I really do invite you to start looking into this, especially if you're interested in entrepreneurship and you want, to build some kind of meaningful solution that will not only help people and, get you money, obviously, but also really change the way, change people's lives and improve their quality of life. That was it from me. If you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to reach out to me on my social media.